How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. A little bit late on the review, but I finally got around to checking out Maxxxine. This is the latest installment in the X trilogy. Following the events of X, Maxxxine Minx takes on Hollywood as she follows her dream to become a star after making it big as a corn star, but now has bigger intentions. She just doesn't want to be known as a corn star. She wants her name in lights. She wants to be famous around the world. She wants to be the headline news, kind of in the same vein as Sharpay Evans from the High School Musical trilogy, only this time around we have a killer on the loose, only to be named the Night Stalker. Now the X trilogy to me has been a little bit of a mixed bag. I don't love X as much as a lot of people. I think it is well made. There are aspects about that movie that I really enjoyed. I thought that it was a fun little throwback movie to the Texas Chainsaw Massacres of the world, to everything that happens in the late 70s around that era. I really enjoyed aspects about that movie, and there are some gnarly kills in that movie. But when it came down to Pearl, I thought it was a better movie than X. Not only did I think it was a good prequel, but it made me appreciate Pearl and X a little bit more the second time around than I did the first time around. I just thought it was a well made, I thought it did a really good job of paying homage to the Wizard of Oz and having that Technicolor in there. I thought it was well done. So going into Maxxxine, I was a little bit nervous about it, but at the same time I was really curious, because this time around not only do we have a slasher in here, but it kind of feels like we were getting a murder mystery aspect to this movie while also taking place in 1985. And I feel like Maxxxine kind of feels like it's in the middle of X and Pearl. Didn't dislike it as much as X, but at the same time I didn't really enjoy it as much as Pearl. Now, starting off with the positives that I have for this movie, Mia Goth absolutely shines as Maxxxine Minx in here. X and Pearl were really my first two exposures to her, and she continues to shine as this character in Maxxxine. The levels of depth that she's able to bring to this character was brilliantly done, and now that I've seen her in 3 movies, she truly is a star on the rise. And not only was she supposed to deliver this performance where she is trying to break into the industry, but having some challenges after landing the role of a lifetime, there are people that are afraid of her casting due to the fact that she rose from a different line of work. And I think she brings some great emotional depths to this character. There are moments in here where she is supposed to be conveying this sense of fear, and she absolutely is fantastic when it comes to those moments. Even when she has to audition and she has to cry on command, she is just absolutely fantastic. She does it really well. She has a bitch boss attitude when it comes down to this character, and she does not come to play around. She knows exactly what she has to do. She knows exactly where she has to be. She knows exactly what she has to convey from this character as she portrayed previously in X, but at the same time kind of having different aspects to her than she did in X. I thought it was brilliantly done, and I think Ty West was able to bring the best performance out of her. He was able to reconstruct 80s Hollywood and make it feel like it was shot in 1985. From the set design to the costumes to how people talked back then to even how they behaved back then with a lot of the parties, a lot of the drug use in here. I thought he was able to bring that out, put you in this time. And even when it comes down to the soundtrack, which I absolutely love, it made it feel like it was shot, released in 1985, and this was just a re-release. He did a fantastic job, even when it comes down to the cinematography for this movie. Feeling like it was shot on 30mm or 70mm, I thought was a wonderful choice, and so he was able to make it feel absolutely lived in. When it comes down to this franchise, the one thing that you want to come out saying is how gnarly the kills were, and they almost pushed the boundaries in here. It's not as bloody or as gory as I would have loved it to be, but there are some gnarly kills in here that I really loved and appreciated. The makeup effect, everything about it was just great, and you can just feel the tension whenever the Night Stalker is around and he's about to take out his latest victim, it just absolutely flowed seamlessly for me. Going into the mixed aspects of this movie, the murder mystery aspect was kind of a letdown. The fact that I had to pee for like the last half of the movie and I just did not want to leave my seat just proves how invested you are in the murder mystery aspect about this movie. You're so invested trying to figure out, trying to point the finger as to who the Night Stalker could be, where his next victim is going to be landing. You kind of know exactly who are going to be picked off. Every step of the way, you're fully invested. You're trying to figure out who the Night Stalker is. Even if you think you had it figured it out, it kind of throws a curveball at you and it goes in a different direction than I was not expecting. And that's something that I really enjoyed about it. Now, the reason why I have it as one of my mixed things about it is the fact that once we get to the reveal of who the Night Stalker is, it kind of let me down. I kind of wanted a little bit more, and I kind of hate myself for not seeing it because it should have been crystal clear from the very beginning as to who the Night Stalker is. And once we get to that reveal, it just didn't work for me as much as I was really wanting it to. It didn't have that emotional punch that I wanted to, especially because of what happens in that last half of the movie. I enjoyed things about the reveal, things that I thought could have tweaked it a little bit better to make it feel a little bit more of a gut punch. But the fact that I was really invested in the murder mystery aspect is the reason why I have it in my mix more than I do in my negatives. So now that I have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with the negatives. Even though I was really invested in the murder mystery aspect, the pacing feels like it's all over the place, and at times I felt like I was bored. This movie is about an hour, 45 minutes, and it just felt like it was going on forever. It's really slow paced, and at times you kind of wish they had picked up the speed a little bit more. That way, it could have been a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit better, and maybe a little bit shorter, but that's just me. Then we get introduced to these homicide detectives played by Bobby Cannavale and Michelle Monaghan. At first, I liked it when they were on screen, but as we got a little bit more of them, they just felt really cartoony and they just fell out of place in this movie. It didn't feel like they were in the same procedural movie. It just felt a little bit more cartoony, even when it comes down to the reveal of the Night Stalker. That also felt very cartoony, and they just did not feel like they were in the same movie as everybody else, because I get what they were trying to go for. You have Bobby Cannavale, who wanted to be an actor, but he's not the best actor, so I guess he just decided to become a homicide detective. We really don't get to know much about them, besides the fact that Bobby Cannavale's character wanted to be an actor and he just never broke out. You don't really get to know who these detectives are, or how they were put on this case, and I just wanted a little bit more of them because they pop in every now and then, but they just feel like background characters. They feel like they were just put in here so we can have some homicide detectives just follow this character around trying to figure out who Maxxxine Minx is. Maybe she's the killer, maybe she's not, and they just felt out of place for me, and at times I was really bored, and it shouldn't have been as slow and as boring as it turned out to be, because I was so invested in this murder mystery. I was really invested in everything that was going on, and every single turn, you don't want to be able to leave your seat because there's always something that pops up that I really enjoyed. But it's just the way the movie is paced just didn't work for me, and I was just bored at times. It kind of felt the way that I felt with X. There are aspects about this movie that I really enjoyed, especially the murder mystery aspect, because I really love murder mysteries, trying to figure out who the killer is, trying to figure out the motives of the killer. And once we get to see the motives of the killer, it just didn't work for me. It's something that we've seen many times before. It's something that I kind of wish was taken in a different direction. As far as completing this trilogy, I think it does some things great, where it connects both X and Maxxxine in here, and it just feels like a full circle type of thing. Even when it comes down to Maxxine's friend, I thought their relationship was great, and I like the chemistry that they have, the banter that they have, the working relationship that they have. It's something that I really enjoyed, but overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Maxxxine a 5.5 out of 10. I wish this movie could have reached the heights that Pearl reached, but I know there are a lot of people that love this trilogy, that will crawl to the ends of the earth for this trilogy. This trilogy, for me personally, it's a mixed bag. Really enjoyed Pearl. Maxxxine I thought was serviceable, but at the same time kind of wished it was a little bit more. And X was just a fun little throwback movie. That one kind of made me wish it had a little bit more. But those are my thoughts on Maxxxine. Have you guys checked it out? And what did you think about this X trilogy? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll catch you guys for the next video.